What was your salary when you were still like in the call center?
It was in the mid-30s. Man, I tell you, it was a stressful time working crazy hours. When you at a call center, you're working for a power company, you always have to be on, just like the power. And during that time, it was very stressful because my wife and I were expecting our third child. Something just clicked like, okay, I need to start getting paid for my knowledge instead of being paid for my time.
Mm,
And so just so happened I was on Google. I was about to search for a job, and then right below the Google search bar was a call like, we want to. Our goal is to have 100,000 IT technicians on, to teach. And so I was like, whoa. And I clicked on it. I saw the advertisement, saw the story of the person who did the course. And, I was in tears because his story was just like mine. He dropped out of college to help out his mom, you know, and it was because his story and the realism of his story that I'll say, you know what, I'm going to do this.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. You know what it is? Another episode of the Custom Journeys podcast. Really excited about the guests we have on today. A lot of times on this podcast, we cover not only unique people, but then also unique pathways, how to get into STEM. And so today's guest, Tristen Alexander, is going to talk about his experience with getting the Grow with Google Coursera certification for the IT support program and how that's helped him throughout his career. So really excited to talk to Tristen today. I hope you all enjoy the content and the video today. Also, be sure real quick, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share this video with any friends, coworkers, anybody that's looking to make a career pivot. So go ahead and get into it. Tristen, what's good, man? Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Everything's good. It's sunny in Atlanta, so everything is good. Uh, just very excited to share my story. Hopefully, be able to give kind of like shine a light into different paths many people want to try to navigate, and hopefully my story will help that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, man, definitely. Looking at your LinkedIn profile before we even connected, I definitely think you got about a lot of valuable life experiences that people can take away from. And I think, to be honest, like I can't ever pick a favorite episode. That's gonna be like impossible for me to do. Plus, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings on the podcast. But I think your story is probably like most relatable to people. Like it's like the one story where I feel like people can watch and listen to this story that you'll share and they be like, yo, I'm working at XYZ company. I don't enjoy what I'm doing, but let me switch it up and do something different. So I didn't say it in the intro, but you're an IT quality assurance analyst. What does that mean exactly? And tell me a little bit about your job currently.
So yes, that's the official title. That's the fancy title, but really, all intents and purposes, I'm a software tester. So basically, what that means, you know how when there's different apps or even different websites, even before going to the public, you have the development stage, and then within that development stage, there's quality assurance or testers that vet out the site both on the front end and sometimes on the back end, which means, you have the interface that we interact, and then all the many uh, um, resources that communicates within that front, that image. So uh, I test that out. I vet it out. I try to find all the defects, all the bugs, and hopefully, if I do a good job along with my teammates, um, come out with a usable product and a safe product. So that's all. That's in a nutshell what a web developer tester or a software tester is all about.
And what company are you with right now? What's the name of the company?
So I'm with Southern Company. So Southern Company is one of the largest power companies in the United States. We started out the reason why it's Southern Company because it started in the Southeast, and then we expanded our nation's footprint to do more natural gas, and then we also doing other forms of renewable energies. We in California, we Nevada, Texas. In fact, so Southern Company in this whole is one of the leading companies in the nation when it comes to clean energy, and just producing power for the United States.
All right, cool. Nice. All right. So man, let's dig a little deeper. So the way I discovered you, Tristan, was from actually doing some YouTube searching. So I was actually looking for somebody that had maybe a non-traditional background, but specifically somebody who finished the Coursera career certification program. And I actually found a commercial on YouTube with Google interviewing you and talking about your journey. And looking at your LinkedIn profile, bro, I was like, yeah, you're gonna make the perfect guest because looking at your LinkedIn profile, you had experience as a bank teller at a few different banks, working, I think, at different retail jobs. Also, you told me you worked at a call center before getting into IT. So I was like,
Yeah.
yo, this is something that like people can really relate to. It's like, yo, maybe I didn't go to college, but I can do a online certification or some other alternative pathway and get into tech. So let me start at the beginning for you. What really got you interested in pursuing a career in IT from the beginning?
From the very beginning, I want to say it was in high school. I wanted to get into IT. Now, I didn't know at the time that it was called IT. I just wanted to do something with computers. And the reason why was that because even though I took honor courses and dual enrollment courses, some college courses while I was in high school, I noticed that those with technology had a even greater advantage. And so even though I had probably great ideas when it came to science projects or, like research papers and what have you, part of the grading was design, the concept and what have you. And, back in our day, word art was the thing to go on, in Microsoft Word, and you make your projects all beautiful or what have you. And then here I go, I'm going to the library, making copies with the encyclopedias and giving 25, 50 cents for the copy and what have you. So of course you're gonna go with the nicer portion because that was part of the grading points. And so I recognized then that those with technology have a greater advantage. And so I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to learn about that. Um, you know, based on whoever you say, fortunately, unfortunately, it took a while, but um, the journey along the way, I learned a whole lot, and it actually enhanced my appreciation and also my uh, just the depth of knowledge when it came to IT, basically.
Okay, gotcha. And so you kind of taking it back with talking about word art and clip art and all that stuff. You're making me you bringing back all the memories. But okay, but I guess growing up you didn't have a computer at home. Is that what you were saying? Like in terms of having to go make copies. And I remember going to
Yeah.
Kinko's and stuff like that. Is that this the case for you?
So yeah. So fun fact. Um, Even though I was in IT, I wish I could, really say that I was one of those, you know, kid geniuses that built a computer when I was 5 and all that. But that's not my story. Um, I got my first computer when I was 17. And that's when I was about to start college. It was this community college in Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi, Coland, in fact. And I wanted to really, because my mindset, like, okay, I already knew in high school that I could have been ranked a whole lot higher had I had technology. I'm not going to make that mistake again with college. I'm going to go all out. And so, of course, my mom, she didn't have the money, so I had to work hard for it during the summer. Had enough money, bought my first computer at 17. It was like $700. And then I had to get the internet too because my mom, we didn't have internet at the time, but it was this little cable company back home in Natchez. It was the new thing, internet through cable. And so I got that, paid $45 a month. I had to take care of that too. And so yeah, that was the start of me having a computer. We had game systems, of course, Sega Genesis, all that, but for a computer, yeah, I was 17.
I think it's impressive that like even at a young age you were able to like identify like the importance of technology. But what I guess when you graduated from high school, what was your plan like career wise? What were you planning on doing? Going to college or going to get a job, or what was your goal after that?
Yeah, so that's the one part. I don't regret the decisions I make, but I wish if there was one thing I would change, would have had, the guidance, a little bit more guidance on my career path. So I knew I wanted to do something with technology. At the time, there wasn't an IT. It wasn't even a computer course, and in the college that I was attending. I started on a a path that I really didn't even enjoy, like nursing. I don't even like needles, and why I did nursing, I don't know. But that's where it pointed me with. I had a full scholarship, and so I took it. And I went that path, and again, I don't regret it, but I wish I would have had more, some type of guidance. Not allowing circumstances to dictate where I need to go, but really deciding, okay, this is what I want to do. Here are some of the roadblocks. How can I remove those roadblocks? So I wish I had that mindset in the beginning. So, and I think that's what really, because of that decision, really led me to other decisions that I made with my career choice, going forward.
I was listening to your Google interview, and you talked about having to drop out of college to
Yeah.
help support your mom and the family at home. What was that process like? Like having to I know you went the nursing route, you didn't really care about it, but what was that like having to drop out to help support the bills and stuff like that?
That was a tough call, you know, um, because I was already ahead. Like I was projected to uh, finish college early, like a year or two even early, because I took courses while I was in high school, took some courses while during the summer. So I was doing the right things. It was just I was allowing other things to dictate what I should do. That was the problem. Financially, it was just difficult. My mom by that time was a single parent, um, and my little brothers and sisters, they needed some type of guidance and what have you. And so there was so much stuff that I want that was on my plate. I thought that what, let's just take a break from school. Um, I only have a semester left, so let me just take a break. Let me find a job to help out my mom and help out my brothers and sisters and go from there. And so that I made that decision.
Man, so you walked away with like a semester left?
Yep, one
Dang.
semester left.
Okay. And it was gonna be in nursing or what?
Yeah, so in between that, I was like, I was taking nursing, prerequisites and what have you,
Yeah.
but I also try to find make sure that I did some type of course that I could easily transfer my courses to technology. And so my plan was to still go through with the nursing, because by that time that's when they changed, because there was a big shortage in nursing during that time in 2000s. It used to be a 4-year course off the rip, but then they made it 2 years. So my goal was, okay, let me at least get the certification, get that out of the way. And then when I go into transition to a 4-year university, um, I could transfer those courses, and then I can still finish college way early, because I didn't want to be in college. I didn't want to be on campus. I didn't want to be, it was just I didn't want to lose focus of why I'm there. I'm not there to, part whatever. So I really didn't want to be in college for a long time. And then there was some other things, spiritual obligations and stuff that I want to pursue too. And so I didn't want to be in college for too long. And so that was the plan. Um, but of course that didn't happen.
So, man, looking at your LinkedIn profile, so I want to kind of fast forward through some of these jobs that you had. But I gotta make sure I hit them real quick, cause like, bro. I guess after you somewhere in that time of you dropping out to where you got to today, you've worked at Primerica, you've been a bank teller at Wells Fargo, you've been a banker at SunTrust Bank,
Yeah,
a credit advisor, and then you
yeah,
told me you also worked in a call center. So,
yeah.
bro, okay, so we're gonna kind of fast forward through that, and I guess let's talk about your last job that you had as a in a call center, and tell me how
Yeah.
you went from working in the call center to getting into IT. How did that transition happen?
Yeah, so, I joined the bank to actually help people and educate people financially, but I realized that wasn't the case. As a personal banker, in my experience, it was more so pushing products at the time, you know? And so even
Credit
if it wasn't a
cards and
product, yeah, credit card and what have you, and less on education. And so, I wasn't really happy about being a personal banker. I was gonna make that as my career. And so, I just wanted to change. So I saw, there was a call center, job at Georgia Power, and I said, "Hey, you know what? Let me look behind the scenes. Let's see why, um, people are behind on their power bills." And, Georgia Power seemed like a very good company. Let me work with them. So that's when I transitioned to a call center rep, and I had multiple roles. And during that time, I took collection calls, the very people that needed to extend their bill to make the payments, and what I did that helped them. And then I transitioned into kind of like a side project, where we help builders and property managers to manage, to build new property, get power at those locations. Then, my final stop was, I actually did it on the business end, the same thing for consumers, but for businesses, as a business, advisor, taking those calls and helping businesses on how to save money on their power bills as well.
okay. So throughout your career, you've had good intentions to help people, and I can appreciate that. Where did you along your time while working at the power company, when did you first learn about like the Google certification program and um what were your thoughts as far as taking the program?
Yeah, so it was at that last stop when I was a business account rep, and man, I tell you, it was a stressful time. During that time, a lot of like working crazy hours. Even though we had a set schedule, from 8 to 6, whatever, and I did my 8. Uh, During that time, when you at a call center, and you're working for a power company, you always have to be on. Just
Mhm.
like the power, we have to be on. So if there is power shortage, power outages or what have you, storms or what have you, it's all hands on deck, which I didn't have a problem of that. But it was during that time when there was like some transition and what have you. I don't know if it was a shortage. I don't know. But it resulted in me working a lot of hours. And during that time, it was very stressful, because my wife and I were expecting our third child. And, I really wanted to be there, for her. And I'm happy to say that with all we have 3 kids. I've been there every time, every doctor's appointment, every, like even the delivery, I was there. That's something I took pride in. And it was during that time frame, it was very difficult. And at the call center, we have very strict hours, and you have to do certain things at certain times. And if my wife had a doctor's appointment and I can't go, well,
Mhm.
I had to make a decision. And unfortunately, uh, be, it's all about management too, and people who are reasonable. Not to go too deep into that, but um, there were many times when I had to decide whether my job or my family. Of course, I'm going to choose my family. But it was at that time, something just clicked, like, okay, I need to start getting paid for my knowledge instead of being paid for my time.
Mhm.
And so, just so happened, I was on Google. I was about to search for a job. And then right below, the Google, search bar was a call like, we want to, our goal is to have 100,000 IT technicians to teach. And so I was like, whoa. And I clicked on it. I saw the advertisement, saw the story of the person who did the course, And, I was in tears because his story was just like mine. He dropped out of college to help out his mom, you know, and it was because his story and the realism of his story that I'll say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And so, I had some mentors, and I told them that I wanted to quit. I was going to quit. I'm just stressed out. And, he's like a father to me. Uh, he said, well, Tristen, I understand you under stress, but, are you drowning, or the water's just neck high? And I said, well, right now it's just neck high. I'm not drowning. He said, well, how long can you stay afloat? And I said, at least 6 months. He said, well, do whatever you need to do in 6 months to change your situation.
Mm.
And when he told me that, and then found that opportunity, I knew that was the path. And so that's I say this is the ticket. This is what I need to get into IT, and I took it.
Man, that's powerful. That's dope.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting that you said you needed 6 months, or for 6 months you could stay afloat with the water at your neck.
Yeah.
Because 6 months is typically what Google advertises for like their certification programs in terms of how long they take. So let's
Yep.
talk a little bit more about the certification program since I know that's been a big part of your story. Number
Okay.
one, how long did it take you to finish the certification program? Do you think you can finish it in less than 6 months?
Yeah. Actually, I was on track to finishing up in 4 months. Now, granted, I was geeking over the stuff because I was just excited,
Yeah,
and I saw it as an opportunity for me. That was my Shawshank redemption. Like, this is my way to break out. And so I used that motivation, but I took a 2-month hiatus because by that time my wife and I had our baby girl. And so I took a break to make sure she was good and what have you. And then after those 2 months, I finished up the course. So really, honestly, if you have the drive, and if a person really want to break free and they don't mess around with this, they really see it as an opportunity, and they grab the bull by its horns, they can really finish it in 4 months. Now, granted, I was self-taught. You know, throughout my path, I always picked up and trying to learn and try to break into IT. I just wasn't successful. It's just this certification through Google was kind of like that sledgehammer, to really break down, some walls. But I always chisel at getting into IT. Um, and so on realistically, 4 to 6 months, if you have the passion, you can do.
gotcha. And are you so 4 to 6 months, are you spending, like, 10 hours a week? Are you doing, like, 20 hours a week? What kinda time commitment do
Mhm.
you have as well with that?
Yeah, so I had some time, but um I didn't do like a 24-hour or 40-hour. I was working full time, in fact, overtime. So I was working 10-hour days there. So what I would do is, so after I got home from work, which was like 6, 7 o'clock, and I detox from all of that, spend time with the family, spend time with the family. My wife and I would do some volunteer work, volunteer ministry work, spending time with the kids. I did all that. And then once everyone settled down or they sleep, that was my time. So like usually around 10 to 12, I just devoted 2 hours. And it was easy to breathe through. It was like watching YouTube videos. You watching videos, you're looking at it, you have the transcript, you know, you can take notes and what have you. And so that's what I did. I just took it in. I just took it in. And then as far as like my coursework, when I'm refreshed and what have you, I use that Saturday. I took another 2 hours, as like a recap of all my notes. I looked at all my notes, and then that final hour to finish up all my coursework. And the coursework take no more than like 5, 10 minutes. And so there are some projects towards the end of the each section. Um, that it takes a little bit more time. But I used all of that in turn, like at the weekend, like my labs or my courses, what have you. So that's what worked for me. I'm a night person, but most people I know they took you know they get up early in the morning, whatever works for you. And then also too, I forgot this too. I also, because it's another blessing in disguise, was that it's mobile. So I didn't have to just log in. There's an app. So on my lunch break or what have you, or when I just want to detox, if I'm a little behind, I open up the app and listen to it. Or if I didn't have calls in between, because there was some downtime taking calls. So when I didn't have any calls, I just listen to a session, and it was like 4 or 5 minutes, and then get back at it. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, that's cool, man. That's a pretty reasonable time commitment somebody can make, maybe 2 hours before work, 2 hours after work, especially if you have kids and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
reasonable. Um, so once you completed the certification, like, how well prepared did you feel for your current job? Like, was there anything that your current job asked you like day one that you were like, "Oh crap, like we ain't learned this in the Google certification program. I don't know what to do. I gotta Google everything or ask my coworker." Like, how well do you think that the certification program prepared you for actual IT work?
So what gave the best thing the course gave me was confidence, because I always suffer from imposter syndrome. So on the one end, it's amazing, being self-taught in technology. Like I always fixed, everyone's computer. Even when I was at work where there is something going on, everyone reached out to me instead of calling an IT person. And so I had the work ethic, and I did the work. Um, but I always felt like an imposter because I didn't have, I'm coming from you know, the the the
Didn't have
the
the degree.
generation of you need, yeah, the degree in the course, and I didn't do any of that. Like I went to YouTube University, or I
Yeah,
went to
ain't nothing wrong
hard
with that.
hard knocks or what have you. And so I suffered from that. I suffered from that imposter syndrome. But taking that Google certification, the beautiful thing is there was peer work. So we did peer grading, and then also too the those who were overseeing the the certification, they also graded the work too. And so I go, I'm having people work for Google, um, that said, man, you got it. You nailed it. You know about crypto. You know about you know, tran- how data is transported from end to end. You know all these things. And so it gave me a big boost. And then also too, I had the work to back it up. We did real labs. I was actually coding and using bash and Linux commands and what have you. Like we actually did it. So, that if anything, it gave me the boost. Now, the thing is, it's pretty funny. When my first opening to IT, so I was in the call center, and then we have developmental opportunities. You don't actually have a job per se, but if you're interested in this job, we can put you in and we can train you up, and you don't have an actual position in that role, but you would be treated as if, in all intents and purposes, that's your role. So we call it a
Gotcha.
developmental. And so when I saw that opportunity, I used all my coursework to not so much show that, okay, because we didn't talk about telephone technologies in the Google certification, but the concept behind how everything is transported in, and how to think in a technical mindset. I was able to use that coursework to show them, like, look, I do have technical knowledge. I do know my way around the website. I know how to troubleshoot and what have you. And it was so impressive to the supervisor that they didn't even interview. They said, if you can do all of this, we're gonna bring you on. And so,
Wow.
and that's when I realized that it's much better to get paid for your knowledge than for your time, because let me tell you. Now, again, this wasn't the actual role. This was just a developmental. This was basically I was a substitute. In all intents and purposes, I want to be a substitute in this role for 12 months. Um, and still the pay gap and the time freedom, even more importantly, the time freedom, my wife couldn't believe it. I couldn't.
That's impressive, and that's I'm glad you gave that story because that's one of the questions I actually had was like, how did you land the role? I think it's cool that they offer like that developmental opportunity for people to number one, try out different things and see if it's something they like. But then number two, you kind of get like on the job training, so to speak, and I think it's great that you had that opportunity.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into like the time freedom, the pay freedom, and later on in
Okay.
a minute. Because I mean, we ask every guest about their salary just about, so we definitely gotta cover that, and you can kinda talk
Oh,
about
more than willing.
the perks of that transition you've made. But excuse me. First, we gotta get into this is like a little rapid fire segment we got just to kinda switch it up a little bit. It's called
Okay.
Factor Cap. Um, so factor cap is basically I'll probably just have 3 questions for you. You have to answer each question fact and then give a brief explanation, but you gotta limit
Okay.
the explanation for each question to 60 seconds or less.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I'll try to do that.
I see you over there getting adjusted, man. You trying to say, all right. So it's not gonna be
All right.
nothing too crazy, but it's a few questions to kind of get your quick thoughts on.
Okay.
All right. So oh man, one of these you already answered actually. All right. So question number one. The Grow with Google certification is worth the investment. Fact or cap?
Uh, Big facts.
All
Big
right,
facts. And
gotcha.
the reason why, because you have nothing to lose. Um, in fact, Google is the programs is doing immensely well. That I just read an article today, no, yesterday, in fact, that Google going to expand it and make the course free for all U.S. companies. Um, and so Google is very serious about investing in people. And the crazy thing about it, they spending all this money, and no one's they not trying to recruit people to Google. They just want United States to build their tech talent, and they investing a lot of money into it. So big facts.
Man, okay. Man, that's impressive. I didn't know that that they were doing that, but I think that's really impressive. I think that's much needed. Real quick, how much did the program cost per month? Do you remember?
It cost $39 a month, and I was gonna, things were tight at the time, but I was like, man, look, I'm not gonna let this opportunity go. So I was like, okay, maybe I got to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Two out of 2 of the 5 lunch periods I have. But thankfully, Google, because they so passionate about it, they actually have scholarships. And so if you and it's not long drawn out, just they just want to know your story about why you want to get into IT or why you want to take the course. And they ask about salary, how much you make or what have you. But they didn't ask for like your W-2. They just asked and you submit it. And then one day I had the email. Like I was already prepared to use the credit card. I think it was just about to be deducted that first month. But then I got an email and say, now Google waived it. They're gonna take care of you. And so yeah. So again, it's at the very least 2 hours a day and $39 a month to change your whole life. And you only have to do it for 6 months. It's a 4 to 6 months, small comparatively speaking. It's a small. I feel like it's a small sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's crazy. So I mean, you're really getting a free education, and it seems like people value this information. But we're gonna get into that in a minute. But next one, factor cap. It's not what you know, but it's who you know that matters. So in other words, your network is more important than your skills.
That's more fact. Well, uh,
Tough one.
yeah, that to be determined. And here's the reason why is cap in the environment I'm in, like in Atlanta. Um,
Okay.
but it's absolutely fact. When I was like in the smaller towns in Mississippi and what have you, um, and the reason why it differs because like big cities in Atlanta or what have you, well, everyone got a degree. Everyone's on basically for the most part equal footing.
Mm,
And so you gotta prove yourself. You gotta prove yourself. At the end of the day, yeah, talk is cheap when it comes to these big cities. They value more so on the work ethic, your job. Now, what are you contributing? Why should I invest in you? And that's how it is with Southern Company, like and other large companies, here, it's just even smaller companies here in Atlanta. It's like, it's not, yeah, you talk is cheap. What are you going to contribute? Now, whereas in Mississippi, you can, at least from my experience, I haven't been there in a while, but I still have friends there. Um, you can be the greatest, you can be the best. Um, But because there's limited opportunities, usually by the time you know the opportunity, someone else have already known, a month in advance. And they may not even have the skill set, but because they know someone, um, they get the job and you wait till next time. And so and it's kind of like that too in a bigger environment too, but like even within the company, but at the same time they know that person not because, oh, we went to college, we frat brothers or what have you. No, I know that person because they applied before and I know their work ethic and we're grooming them up to be in this role. But it's different. So
yeah.
I have to be in the middle on that one.
No, I got you. I'll let it pass. All right, next one. Factor cap. It's never too late to make a career pivot.
Oh, fact, fact,
All right.
fact. I mean, I was 16. I wanted to be in IT, but I got in IT when I was 30, So it's never too late.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, last one. Factor cap. College education should be tuition free.
Um, Unpopular opinion, but I feel
Give
like
it to
that's
me.
cap.
Cap. All
I
right.
feel like that's I feel like it's cap. And here's the reason why. Home ownership, building a business, um, that's you would say that's two of the pivotal things that keep the United States going. And yet, we don't get grants to, okay, well, because you struggle or you are behind or because of your background, we're gonna cover your housing. Or we're going to give you all the money you invested into your business to keep everything running. We're going to give that money back. And the reason why, because we make decisions in our life. And so when it comes to education, um, I feel like at the very least, it should be incentivized, not going to college because you want to have fun or get out of your mom and dad house and party, what have you, or even because this is the course that I like, or even if you say, well, I went to college because I didn't know what to do, but now I want to do another, I want to change my course. So you're trying to say that we as a nation have to cover all of that? And so I say at the very least, it should be incentivized that if someone is in a like for example, teachers, I love teachers.
Mm,
Um, the money they make and the investment they took to be in college, I think if for for an example, if a teacher, served their community 5, 10 years and they made a value impact into their students, well, they should be rewarded having their tuition wiped.
gotcha.
Or other, or it could be any. I use teachers as an example, but it can be anything. But it shouldn't be just because I went to college and I'm in college debt that we going to just wipe your debt. Like, no, you made an educated decision to go to college to choose what you want. That's your responsibility. Now, you know where we go from there is it all depends on what are you contributing to society. If you just going to college and move around and now you have a whole lot of debt and you
Mm,
stuck, you gotta deal with that, So that's my take on it.
I got you.
Unpopular opinion. Not that
Yeah.
I'm not knocking college, but I feel like we have to be very thoughtful in that approach. Because if that's the case, everyone going to go to college. And it also too that's going to devalue everyone else that have their degrees. It's going to devalue somehow, and so I think there should be some incentive.
No, I get what you're saying. I like the idea of like, okay, if there's a service based degree or if it's like a degree that really benefits the community and the country, really try to incentivize those people to take out their student loan debts and things of that nature. So I'm on board with you there. I like that idea a lot. You're gonna have a lot of people mad because we trying to wait for a lot of people waiting for Joe Biden to erase some of this student loan debt. So, but I get where you're coming from. I
Hey,
mean, the
you
money
know,
has to come from somewhere, right? So,
now so here's the thing, because as you listed some of the things I did. So I was a personal banker. I help people with credit.
yeah.
And I feel like our generation especially been screwed over. I really feel that way.
Okay.
Every other generation had a leg up. You know, baby boomer, Gen X, what have you. Our generation, we went through so many economic
Catastrophes.
downturns. We had natural disasters out of the wazoo. We had terrorist attacks. Uh, there's no longer any pensions and what have you. So our generation, especially, needs some type of assistance, but it has to be thoughtful. It has to be a thoughtful approach. And so, with my background, in personal banking and college credit, and how these colleges have basically profited off of our generation, and we have really very little or nothing to show for it, but debt,
Mhm.
there should be some compensation. My only thing is, it should be thoughtful. It shouldn't just be a wand and everyone get it. Because let's be honest, some people in college went there and they got the degree, and but what are they really doing to contribute to the sum total of their community? So that's my only thing. It just need to be purposeful. It shouldn't be by merit. It shouldn't be by merit that you was an AB student or what have you. Now it should be based on what are you contributing to the common good, and so be it. Yeah, you get that taken care of.
Gotcha. Now, man, I could talk about this for a minute with you. I definitely like your the input that you're providing, and definitely agree with a lot of those statements, especially when you look at like the rising cost of tuition while we were going to college versus like salaries and income. It's like
It's
they just let
ridiculous.
things go crazy. And then now, thankfully, I'm really happy that this generation has alternatives like Coursera and
Yeah,
coding boot camps and other things, apprenticeship programs,
absolutely.
which we didn't
Yeah.
have. So cool.
But I
But
think but I think it's because of we realized we woke up like the formula that our parents had, it's
don't
not
work.
gonna work. So we had to so we forced the change. We forced it. And so yeah, and we're gonna continue to force other changes, but we have to be thoughtful. We have to think about the next generations, um, and be thoughtful in the approach of the solution for us.
Gotcha. All right, cool, man. So great job with Factor Cap. You did awesome there. Now we're gonna go ahead and switch it into the last segment. This is really like geared towards personal and professional development. And so you
Okay.
kind of alluded to some of the lifestyle changes, both from a financial standpoint and a time standpoint, that have occurred for you and your family as a result of you going into the IT career path and making that career pivot. So really interested to pick your brain in this segment. So let's start it off. Um, how are you willing to like share your salary and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's
All
no
right, cool.
problem.
So I guess number one, what was your salary like before, like when you were still like in the call center? What was your salary like then, and what is it currently in IT?
So it was in the mid-30s. It was in the mid-30s, and it was doable because my wife and I, we don't believe in debt. So we live a very simple life. We're not we're not destitute and stuff. Kids won't allow us to be destitute. So, we live and we enjoy, but it was, things were tight. We were barely making it. But we had all of our essentials and what have you. And so, and then also too, that to compound on that, my wife, lovely sacrificed so much on her end, taking care of the kids, having kids and what have you. And so she made a sacrifice. And so I felt that it was upon me to very least try to lift that burden of that financial stress or what have you.
Mhm.
And so I got into IT. I got into IT. And when I did adjust the developmental, I had a $20,000 increase
Okay.
just from that alone. So I was in the mid 50s by that time. So an extra 20, and then
Almost double, man,
yeah, yeah.
right off the bat.
And so instantly, that you have that instant relief. Like, think about what will you do with an extra 20? And I mean, that you can do a lot of things. You can be more generous. I mean, we were generous before, even with the 30, because again, we were thoughtful in our spending. But you even more so. You can now, instead of living check to check, now you can able to save and have that emergency fund, and have, or not even an emergency fund, just at the very least have enough to cover your deductibles. I mean, so so you have that. Um, and then so after that, and my role that I'm in now, which is a software developer, um, when I transitioned to being a software developer, current day now, that's another, I want to say another 20, 25. So on average, I make 70 on average. That's like an average. Of course, with bonuses and other incentives that I do, what have you. That's all integrated into it too. And then not only that, but just also too, now you're looking at, healthcare. You're looking at healthcare. You're looking at, you're able to participate in the 401k. You're able to save more. You're able to impact other people's lives, helping them. So yeah, all because of, you know taking a chance 6 months.
Yeah, man, that's really impressive. Now, I hope people can really take something from that part of just that part alone of your story. 'Cause I mean, you pretty much doubled almost 2.5 times what your original salary
Yeah,
was. So I think that
absolutely.
like people that are maybe in a certain position and they're like, yo, I need to kind of take this financial stress, this financial burden off my shoulders. Um, I listened to some YouTuber and he was talking about the average salary for a black man in America is around 40 or $45,000. And I mean, you
Absolutely.
talk about just from getting in the developmental program, how you were able to exceed the average salary for a black man in America. I think that's really impressive, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you did that. Um, so, next question I got for you is why should someone get into IT? What are some of the benefits or some of the reasons why, whether it's fulfillment or whatever, what are some reasons why people should consider a career in IT?
I think out of all the careers one can pursue, information technology is the most flexible. It is the Swiss Army knives of career paths. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why, because who would have thought that we'll undergo one of the craziest pandemics um, ever faced, human history. Of course, you have your other plagues, but in an industrial technology phase, we would have never thought that with the advances we've made in science to deal with a pandemic, and it man, it did some damage. And yet, out of all those roles, it was information technology that really kept the economy going. And so you have that flex, you have that job security. IT isn't going anywhere. Another beauty about IT is that you can make that role to be whatever you want it to be. So even though I wasn't in IT, and one of the things people worry about in getting into IT is, okay, so I don't have the experience. How am I going to get the experience? Well, I use IT to create my own path. So I was like, okay, in case this coursework isn't enough, I'm going to create a business and I'm going to name myself manager, and I want to create a business and just use that as my experience, because I'm already fixing people computers. I'm already doing everything. I might as well get paid for it and then also use that as job as a job experience. So that's what I did. And then that blossomed into something special. And then finally, I mean, the flexibility, like I'm at home. I'm still working, but I'm at home, I'm with my kids. And that is the biggest, you know, more than just the money or anything, honestly. Like, that is the biggest, because the role that I'm doing as a software developer, I was offered gigs to make six figures. But the reason why I like what I did take those jobs and stuff, because of what I'm able to do, the flexibility that the company I'm working for are able to do, and then also too, I don't want to trade in that, the value that I have with my family. So, uh, but you can make IT whatever you want to do. I mean, it is. I can go on talking about IT.
Nice. All right, I got a few more questions for you before I let you go. But thanks for all the transparency that you're giving. I think it's really valuable. And so one of the things you mentioned was, and we talked about this last time we chatted, was that you started your own company, right? And you made yourself
Yep.
like a manager, and you've gone
Yep.
on to make like your own. Is it Xander Tech or Xander Solutions?
Yeah, Xander. So Xander LLC.
Yeah, Xander
Um,
LLC. So what
yeah.
what's that journey been like now that you've kind of gotten into the IT consulting? Now that you're in the IT consulting realm now, right?
Yes, I am. I
Okay,
mean,
so
in cybersecurity more so. Yeah.
so
So
what's that cybersecurity journey like? How are you enjoying entrepreneurship?
I mean, I love it because I saw some opportunities that in my opinion need a little bit more representation. So um I don't know why IT is presented as this complicated thing that no one can understand. Let me tell you, if you feel that way, don't. IT is just an umbrella of so many other things. There's so many things that person can do with IT, and we're IT technicians. We don't even realize, because we deal with technology so much, but they don't think about IT. They don't think of themselves as a tester, but we all testers. And so with cybersecurity, especially in Atlanta, we were just getting hit with data breaches. And I mean, with the city of Atlanta, Home Depot, I mean, I can go on and on. And the underlying issue with all of those cyber breaches were that they forgot to do something. It was something so simple. And so how can that impact all of us can only be solved with something that's like a simple approach? And the underlying thing is people don't have the time, or they don't have the right messenger telling them on how to do it. So that's when I did Xander. And like anything, I started off, too big, trying to do everything, and then I said, no, what is the issue? The one issue is that, how can I make cybersecurity understandable to my children, and then market that and give all these office managers, these other uh, owners, business owners, the tools that they can implement to protect their baby, their business. And so that's what I'm doing through consultancy.
Nice. Two more questions for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. So you've been able
I'm
to.
here, bro.
You here? You got time?
No, I'm here.
All right,
You're
cool,
good.
cool, cool. Well, let me ask you in that case, let me ask you one quick question, to follow up to
Okay.
the entrepreneurship thing. Do you find yourself wanting to be like a full-time entrepreneur at some point? 'Cause I know it seems like freedom and flexibility is really important to you. I'd
Yeah,
imagine entrepreneurship, I mean, it's gonna take a lot to get it started and up and running, but is that something that you feel like you wanna do full-time one day?
most definitely. Most
Okay.
definitely. My my goal is I already know with the way how things are going with unless something drastically change, um, things gonna get more expensive and unfortunately we gonna be working in some capacity until I die. So we might as well do something that we enjoy. And consultancy, I mean, look at Warren Buffett. I mean, my goodness, he's still working even though he's not working.
Yeah.
Uh, and and because he enjoys it. And so I enjoy technology. So my financial goal is to be in a position where at age 40, which is 5 years, I can retire from working in a company or at the very least be in a position that I could leave at any time. And then I can do some consulting work. And the key to doing that is through the business. So yeah, there's so much stuff out. Even though IT is very important, there's some other things that really matter a lot to me. Like a lot of people are man, they depressed. They need some type of guys. They need someone there to like let them know that someone is there for them. Um, and the ministry work is so important. So that's what my wife and I want to do
Mm,
in some capacity. Um, And, just being able to help others to spend time with my kids, as when they be teenagers, I don't want them to have to deal with it all alone, all alone. I want them to have a guidance person, just like I wish I had when I was a teenager trying to figure it out. And so, yeah, most definitely. I love the company I work for, Southern Company. I mean, it would only be because I'm ready to make a next transition in my life, not because I'm dissatisfied. I tell you that.
gotcha. I mean, that's cool. I think a common theme with you is like the importance of family and service, not only to yourself, but to others and really serving others and giving back. And I think with that, like, um, I don't think you're money driven, but I think you realize like the importance of money to help accomplish your mission in terms of giving to others and helping others that may be in hard financial situations. So I think that's just another point, a selling point for others who may have a similar heart or mindset in terms of, hey, it's bigger than me. It's about helping others. I mean, I think when you think about everything in life, it all costs money, right? So
Yeah,
just being able to have that additional financial freedom where you can take care of your family and then also help others, whether it's through donations or whatever, I think that's
yeah.
really important and powerful. Um, I do have a question for you about career pivots though. So
Okay.
you were able to successfully make this career pivot, working, um, going from like a call center role or almost like a retail role, and you have banking experience as well into an IT role. For somebody else that's in their 30s or later, and they're trying to figure out like, hey, um, should I make this career pivot? How do I make this career pivot? What advice would you give for someone in order to successfully make a career pivot from whatever they're doing into potentially tech, or specifically tech or IT? What
Mhm.
advice would you give them?
Yeah, so and I'll go even further, like for the someone who's, in a situation that I was in, um, what I would first tell them is to just stop for a moment. Stop for a moment, think about your circumstances, and really ask yourself, "Is this something that you can deal with?" Because we all feel like we have a breaking point, and we know that we're getting to our breaking point, but you know, this notion to fake it till you make it, in my opinion, it's the worst advice I ever heard. You can't fake an emotion. When you're feeling stressed out, when you're feeling burnt out, you have to do something about it. You got to take care of your mental health. Your family depends on it. And, I had that type of mindset that, well, my wife, she dealing with, I don't want my wife to deal with when I'm worried about, I'm stressing about because, being a banker, I did all the budgets and I seen how things were looking and I seen the path that we were heading financially. We were making it, but it was getting to a point where we had to start robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that was very stressful to me because that brought back memories of how I grew up and I
Mm.
didn't want to be in that part. So you got to really take a moment to like stop and think about, is this something that you want to continue doing? And if you sick and tired of it, use that as your motivation to get out. Like, especially now, there's so many opportunities, even if you don't want to get into IT. There's so many opportunities out there that wasn't available 5 years ago. Seize it, do it, you know? So ask yourself and never make a decision. Also, to never make a decision, even if things are getting tight financially, don't make a decision based on money because now you're allowing money to make your decisions. And that can be dangerous at times. So you want to think about your emotional makeup, what would be best for your family, and ask yourself, okay, I'm in this situation, it's about to, I feel like I'm crumbling. How much longer can I endure so I can make some moves? And whatever that time frame is, go with all your might to make that change. But don't just, and be creative in what you're learning. You know, if you want to learn something, apply it. Don't just learn it. Don't just harvest it. You got this knowledge to share with others. Apply it in some way. And that's going to boost your confidence. Like, not only am I learning it, and then you're going to remember even better because you're actually doing it. You're implementing what you're learning. But also, too, that's going to give you the confidence when you see that opportunity, when you see that job post, and we all seen a job post and we're like, oh, nah, I'm not good enough. Oh, nah, I'm not good enough. You're going to have that confidence like, you know what? I may not be good enough, but I have the confidence to apply and I'm going to let them to tell me no. And that's what you want to do. You want to apply, even if you feel like you're not good, because I almost didn't apply for the developmental role because I was thinking, well, we didn't go over that in Google. And this is telephone technologies. Nah, but then I say, wake up, stupid. Like, you wanted to get out, right? Seize the moment. So I applied and lo and behold, the supervisor say, because you have those soft skills and other skills that would be perfect for the role, I can teach you everything else. But you have the components that can't be taught because that was your endurance, your struggle that built that in you. And so apply it. In worst case scenario, if you don't have the job, follow up with the person and say, hey, I know I need to get the job. I appreciate the opportunity. Do you have like 15, 20 minutes to like discuss why I wasn't a good fit and what can I do to be prepared for the next goal? They're going to love that because they're going to see that initiative and they could even create a role for you because they saw that no one else doing that. And so they don't want to lose a person like you that showed initiative like that. So they may even create a position. The opportunities are endless, but just seize the moment and do it.
Hey, man, that's awesome. I was over here taking notes. So, I mean, just to kind of summarize, take a moment to pause. Don't make decisions based on money. Learn the knowledge and apply the skills, and then shoot your shot, right? So, I mean, how many of
There you
us are
go.
afraid to actually shoot a shot? And regardless of how things turn out, make sure you follow up and show that initiative. So, I think that's really important, man. I think that's like I think people can really look at your story and see what you've been able to accomplish. And I love the fact that, like, with your job, once you got into the developmental role, like, you didn't even need to apply for your current position. It was just a matter of them seeing, like, yo, he got the talent, he got the skills. Let's make a role. Let's put him in the position already. We don't need to interview him and ask him X, Y, Z. So I think that's really, really powerful. Cool, man. All right. So I got one last big picture question for you.
Okay.
So the motivation behind starting this podcast is really to try to increase the number of Black and Latino STEM professionals in this country. And with that in mind, from your perspective, what do you think needs to change, or what do you think needs to happen in order to increase the number of Black men that pursue tech careers? And this can be something on a government level. This can be something personally within each and every one of us within our community. this could be any and everything that you can think of. So what's one thing in particular that needs to happen in order to increase diversity in tech?
Well, I think so I have 3 solutions, at least 3 solutions.
Let's do it.
Um, so from the government end, uh, start incentivizing these technical skills because we are far behind. I mean, we were in the start of the century of the 1900s, we were industrial juggernauts, and now we're behind. Um, we're behind, and so we need to start incentivizing and making technical skills attractive because believe it or not, those jobs make the most money and they are recession proof. You can get in it, low entry, no low barrier of entry, low debt. Like that's what we need to do. And so if you have a whole slew of kids coming in, going into instantly getting into the job force, that's only going to make the economy even better. So I think government should incentivize that a little bit more. Um, from the community aspect, um, those who are in those who are Black and Latino um, need to stop being, being the gatekeepers. Now we are improving, but we need to stop being the gatekeepers and we need to change our mindset to say, okay, I assist if this person have these things because unfortunately that's what happened to me. Um, and they were like, well, man, if only you. I told them what I was able to do, but man, if only you stop, if only you get, man, you got to get into school. You got to get into this. You got to get into, let us stop saying what we need to do and say, okay, this is where you are. Let's see on your path how we can get you there. And we need to, I think we have to do well. And the beautiful thing about that, let me say this, a lot of that, Black and Latinos are creating podcasts, investing a whole lot like yourself. And that's why I'm so grateful to you, um, being thoughtful and doing that and say, okay, let me give you the cheat code to the game. This is what I had to go through, and I had to go through a little bit more, but this is how you can cut through all of that. And so your platform is bridging that gap, and that's a blessing. And you to be commended for that. And then finally, as a community as a whole, let us, by extension, let us stop thinking like there's only one path. The opportunities are out there. Like we finally got the businesses and schools and colleges attention, and that's why they incentivize it. Now it's up to us to start seizing it. Let's stop thinking that we only have to do one thing to get to our goal. No, create many paths. Just like a literal street, you can get to the same destination in different ways. Let us diversify our skill set so that we can get to the same goal. And then if we do that, man, I feel like we gonna close up the gap very soon. Very soon.
Nice. Yeah, man, I love that. I'm on board with those answers, you know. And I think the last point in particular, I think now we're at a point where though these opportunities really are prevalent, where you have the Coursera's, the Udemy's, coding boot camps. Now we're getting to the point where the alternative solutions, there's enough of them where we can really take advantage of them. And it's really going to be a
Yeah,
matter of number one, educating people about the opportunities that are out there, and then number
absolutely.
two, us taking advantage of these opportunities when we see them present themselves. And I don't know if people today, especially like young adults today, realize that like this didn't exist 5, 10, 15 years ago, especially not in the days of like dial-up internet and stuff like that. So this is like a completely different ball game, and I'm really glad to spotlight people like yourself who took advantage of the opportunities that are out there, and they're now pursuing the careers that they want and making a lifestyle that's beneficial to them and their families. So I really think that's important. One one last thing we always like to do is
Okay.
give you the opportunity to give a shout out to anybody or anything, whether it's a company, an individual, or anything like that? Anybody or anything that you want to shout out real quick before we close out the show?
Of course. So I just want to really shout out my childhood friend Jeremy. I think he's in Houston now. It's been a while since we talked, but I want to really thank that dude because he and his mom really opened up their home and allowed me to. And he's really the one that spearheaded the technology because he was like our for people who don't know, if you know, you know, he was our like kind of like our bootleg. He made like the CDs and stuff. He had
Oh, bootleg DVDs.
yeah, yeah. No, not the DVD, like the CDs, man.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
he was my first CD was the Blueprint, and because he burned it for me, so so
You about to
and
have
I
fans
went.
showing up at this man door talking about, "Hey, we need to talk to you about that illegal
Now
wire download."
it was the Wild West at that time though, and then of
Yeah, yeah,
course you
yeah.
know he changed, you know, he changed his ways or what have you. But on a serious note, he allowed me to be in his house and use his computer and to go online and do the projects and stuff. So I want to thank him. I also want to thank all my teachers and Natchez. Um, they really opened up the way. In fact, one of my teachers, they knew that I was going to, like, I was coming to school late, and instead of her writing me up and what have you, she talked to me. She like, Tristen, what's going on? Or why you? And I told her, I was like, because you know I'm working at Burger King, trying to make some money for my mom and what have you. She said, okay, well, I'm going to change that. She talked to the counselor, and then I became the tutor, a tutor in the college. She hooked it up where I was a tutor in a college, paid the same amount that I did at Burger King, so that I can come to school on time. So I want to thank all of my teachers in Natchez, Mississippi, and then all those that I just can't name. Time will run out. How they really took a chance on this Mississippi boy, you know, in a big city in Atlanta, and no college degree, but they took a chance because they saw something in me. They believed it. They are the ones who people like that are really changing the game, and that's why we where we are now because people's willing to break outside of the norm and say, okay, you don't have a college degree, you don't have this, but I'm taking a chance on you because of your skills. And because on the other end, people like me live up to that expectation, they can point to people like me and say, they did it. I took a chance. It's no longer a chance. We did a whole lot better. Look how much money we saved. Look at the product and what have you. And I think it's those people that took a chance in those early days, what making it possible now. So I think all of them, and of course my wife. Finally, I mean, she made such a big sacrifice. She had dreams, she had goals, but we had a family, what have you, and now it's catch up time now. So now I'm making the sacrifice. She's doing her things, and she spreading awareness about women of color breastfeeding and what have you like that. And I'm so proud of her being able to share her story and get her certifications and helping women, young women, do that phase. So I'm very proud of her as well.
That's cool, man. No, that's awesome. I'm all for that, man. I think that's really important, especially, marriages, it's give and take. It's not always, hey, we both gonna do every single thing we want to do at the same exact time. Sometimes one has to sacrifice more than the others. So now I'm pretty sure she'd be like, yo, Tristan, get in here and get these babies. And I'm trying to
Yeah,
do whatever. I don't know if she's trying to be a doula or a lactation consultant or what, but
yeah,
like, yo, you need to get in and get your babies so I can do X, Y, Z. And I mean, that's the
exactly.
way it should be, I mean, is she invested in you and you guys were able to help push you to accomplish your goals to get into IT and tech,
Yeah,
and now you can reciprocate that, and so that's powerful, man. So,
yeah,
man, I love everything you're doing. I love the way you did it. It's not the storybook. Oh, I went to National Honor Society. I got a 4.0 GPA. Worked here, graduated college from here, and now I'm in tech. I think it's a lot more relatable. Life happens,
yeah,
circumstances happen. And a lot of times, you might be starting off somewhere that you don't want to start off, or the road that's a lot harder initially. But
Yeah,
I think your story really proves that if you take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to yourself and seize the moment, that like anything can happen and you can still accomplish your goals. So I'm really proud of what you've been able to accomplish, and then excited about others that'll be able to take something from your story. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us, Tristen. It was really, really awesome learning about you. And I look forward to watching your success, continued success. So, man, you're always welcome to come back.
will
Open
do.
door policy. So, man, thank you again.
Most definitely. And thank you for everything you're doing. You taking the time to spread the wealth. I mean, I there's so many things I could say about your sacrifice. This is not this wasn't overnight. You made a lot of sacrifice to do this. You're very thoughtful in the approach, and seeking out high and low to find someone like me. I mean, you put it in the work. So thank you for everything you do.
I appreciate it, bro. Try to do my part, giving back to my community. So, yeah. So, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, man. So everybody watching, I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. And also be sure to share this episode with a friend who you think it can provide value to. This is a Custom Journeys podcast, and we out of here.